welcome. For International Women's Day on We the People, we're going to hold a mirror to us as a society. This week, as the We the People team brainstormed on what topic to do, we were pleasantly surprised to come across an advertisement that, in a break from the past, puts the spotlight on India's deeply entrenched and patriarchal ways of thinking sometimes that needs to change if we are to drive equality for women. Take a look at what we're talking about.
What's wrong? All okay?
कमल, do you realize कि आज क्या हुआ? आज मेरे पास सिर और अमन के घर जाने का बिल्कुल टाइम नहीं था। हाँ, मैं बस 5 मिनट में मेल भेज रही हूँ। मैं घर पहुंच ही रही हूँ। हाँ, बिल्कुल हो जाएगा।
नए लोग हैं, मिल लेते हैं ना।
I had so much to do. Relax. मैंने तुम्हें कहा भी, पर just acted like my time didn't matter.
Hi. I'm Kamal. My wife Seema. हम लोग ऊपर रहते हैं. I'm Sid.
I'm Aman. Hi.
Hi. अंदर आइए ना.
हम बस नाश्ते की तैयारी करते हैं. Please have some.
अमन फर्स्ट क्लास पोहा बनाता है. अंदर आइए ना.
Come.
Yeah. Please. This way.
चाय लेंगे या कॉफी?
चाय?
चाय.
Awesome.
तुम उनका घर देख रहे थे और
बाथरूम में रखा है एरियल. ओके.
मैं उन्हें I suddenly realized that
यार चाय बना दिया.
we don't have what they have.
कपड़ा.
मैंने तुम्हें बताने की कोशिश भी की, पर देखो साथ में कैसे काम करते हैं. तुमने मेरी बात समझी नहीं.
इसमें क्या है? जब मैं और अविनाश कॉलेज में साथ रहते थे ना, तो हम भी सारा काम बांट के ही करते थे.
और जब चाय गिरी. Thank you.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. It's okay. I'm really sorry.
Don't worry, we'll take care of it.
We? सिर्फ मुझे ही सब कुछ करना पड़ता है. Have been thinking कि अगर सिर और अमन एक साथ काम कर सकते हैं, तुम अविनाश के साथ एक साथ काम बांट के करते थे, तो मेरे साथ क्यों नहीं? मतलब तुमने मुझे अपने बराबर समझा नहीं ना? You ever see me as your equal?
Wow. How did that clip make you feel? Did it resonate? Did you empathize? As a man, a husband, a father to daughters, a partner who loves and wants to support his wife in her professional endeavors, how did that make you feel? Let's get a conversation going. Joining us now first is Gayatri Sharma. She's a businesswoman. She runs a daycare. Gayatri, thank you for joining us. You run a business. You're also looking after a family. It includes 2 sons. It includes your in-laws. You're a one-woman army. This ad, it spoke to you?
Thank you so much I'm so excited to be in the part of this show. Yes, you're right. I do run a daycare and I do all the work at home. And, it's my side of the story, which is I am so excited that I am part of this, Women's Day special. So I would just like to say, I like work all day. From morning I get up, my alarm sets at 6:45 and my day ends at 11 o'clock in the night. So, because I work and it's not, like the old generation, which, when our dads used to work, moms used to be home. Nowadays, when I see that, husband and wife, they go out and when, they even for a stroll or anything, when they go out, they come back, the husband sits and they expect a tea or anything from the woman. So I wonder, what has happened over the period of time that we are just so dependent, that on the woman only to do all the housework. I juggle between the kids, between my own kids, between other people's kids, and it's like taking care of the in-laws, socializing, parties, and driving the kids with their activities and everything. So it's like all the women nowadays that I know all of them are working. Yeah. So it's like, why do only we women have to, go and do all the work, and just husbands just laying around watching TV and, doing their thing. And especially during COVID times, I realized that, it's like, I thought the work will be shared. And, it's like, I was like, okay, I'm working, you're working. How come the food is just my responsibility? So Absolutely. It's like doing like small little chores, like doing the laundry, even the kids packing up the snacks, doing the dishes. It's a non-stop job, especially for the woman who is doing everything for the house.
Absolutely. No matter what you say, you are the primary caregiver for everybody. There is no break for you. When you finish your first shift, your second shift starts. You're constantly on the second shift. Gayatri, thank you for being so candid. You are not alone. There are millions of women out there like you who need someone to share the load, because it's not just our children. It's not just our parents or our in-laws. It's the couples together. Neetu Gupta joins us. She's a homemaker. Neetu, you took a break from your career because of childcare and home responsibilities at various points.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah, for giving me the opportunity to address this issue, because this issue is very close to my heart. I have been a professional social worker and a psychotherapist for some time, but I have taken gradual breaks as and when there were critical phases of my parenting. Because, there is a lot of insensitivity in the workforce when it comes to women and childcare.
Yeah.
And, there are a lot of good organizations who are offering services like creche. Sure. And there are a lot of mothers who are enjoying these facilities, but mostly mothers who have a responsibility of childcare are deprived of these services.
Sure.
So what happens is that you have to take a decision at that point of time that whether your child protection and your child care is of importance or not.
Yeah.
And then it is as life comes on you, you have to take that life accordingly. So what happens is that I have taken 3 or 4 breaks in my career, and presently I am a homemaker with 2 young daughters. And I wanted to support them in their education. I wanted to have I wanted them to have a wholesome experience of life, which I feel that that is possible when you are parenting your child and giving individual attention.
Correct.
And I had tried these services also, which were not very helpful. So because maids and all these support services are there, but you have to monitor them. Yeah. And without a support system, it is very difficult. So,
and did this lead to professional setbacks for you? You're highly educated. You have a degree in corporate social responsibility. But did this lead to professional setbacks?
See, we talk about work-life balance, but there is no equal partnership when it comes to parenting. So this is what happens. When you are a professional, you have to work and you have to take care of the child also. Then if you have services, childcare services in your town, in your city, in your country, then you can avail these services.
Yeah.
And if you don't have proper adequate services of child protection, child care, then what is the only option left with the woman? The only
it
option
falls on you.
Pardon?
You're the one, it falls on you. You're finally responsible. But the points you have raised have been reflected in this latest Pew study that shows 40% of Indians say that marriage is more satisfying with traditional gender roles, whereas by that they mean the husband provides for the family, the wife takes care of the house and the children. 34% say childcare should be handled primarily by women. Yet at the same time, we're seeing more women in the workspace, like Gayatri points out. So does this lead to friction? Things are changing. Ranjana Kumari joins us. She's the director of the Center for Social Research. She's the chairwoman of the Women Power Connect project. Ranjana, in the past, growing up myself as a girl child in India, we saw advertisements that reinforced stereotypical gender roles, and it was subliminal messaging, right? I mean, I myself, I wasn't even offended by it until I was much older. What were your feelings? What feelings did this clip elicit in you?
Well, I think it is a very positive reinforcement, and also it challenges the stereotypical role of women, such advertisement. And I'm happy because I'm also a member of the Advertising Council of India, that is ASCI. I'm board member, and I know that there is a very important study which has been recently conducted called Gender Next, gender, and how gender is represented in advertisements. And a lot of code of conduct has been, and also guidelines have been prepared, and we have been helping in doing that. But on the other side, you see, one should get into the deeper issue. That is about, how household work is backbreaking. It is drudgerous. It is totally uninteresting for a lot of women who work. I think because we all know that there is absolutely no empowerment to this work. In fact, this is disempowering and takes away our agency because it has no value. I mean, I'm not only talking about financial value, because recently we were all excited about a debate when one of the political parties from South India declared that when they come to power, they are going to give the money and add value to household work. But, to try and understand this, that the women, when men spend only 23 minutes of the day, or sometimes even, there are different studies which have calculated and timeline studies. So they talked about 13 minutes to 23 minutes that men spend on the household chores, and women do 297 minutes and 234 minutes, depending on which study you're looking at. So, imagine the comparison. I mean, women's whole life goes into looking after children, men, the other elderly in the family.
And there's no perceived value to it also.
Yes, and no value to it. Not
appreciation
even the
also.
Respect. Not even the respect. I mean, and then on the contrary, if anything goes wrong, there is domestic violence. So women through household work are going through drudgery, that is physical labor, then mental harassment, and a lot of them get into all kinds of mental health issues, and also that there is absolutely no agency that they get because of that work.
And I want to also contextualize this because, because of the pandemic, many offices have moved to work from home, and women, talk about, like we say work from home is a boon. We don't have to deal with traffic every day. But what about women? Because it really has made things harder with schools closed. Kids are at home, and you see those, videos of women trying to be on a Zoom call, and the kid comes into the screen, and we all laugh and we think it's so cute. But actually, as a professional, it can be traumatizing. It's difficult and stressful to do all of this. Trying to work, the kids are gnawing at you for something or the other, and you're trying to load the laundry, and you're on a call. This is the reality check of what work from home often is playing out on your screens right now. That is also this past year, the pandemic has made things worse?
Yes, Sarah, if you're asking me this question, I can tell you that a lot more happened during pandemic because a lot of men were not used to staying at home. The women who were trapped in violent situation became worse. And also that, the women who were working from home was not easy, not only because children were disturbing or household work was waiting for them on the other side, but also when the bosses called at odd times. Husbands would be pressurizing them and saying, what is this late night calls? Who's this who's calling you? This is no work. If they come back home late, doesn't matter. Or they are working through the night, doesn't matter. If women are doing the same work, IT sector, as you know, and many other areas.
Things aren't equal for everyone.
It's not equal. There is
not at all. I want to bring in Sharat, the Ariel brand spokesperson, the Chief Marketing Officer of PNG India, joining us now. Sharat, I saw this video and I'll be honest, it made me a bit uncomfortable because, it hits a little too close to home. On the outside, the outwardly image is that we're modern Indian women, we're financially independent, we're career women. But even with me, this struck a chord because in a sense, we're all, at some point, we've all been Deepa, like the woman in the ad. So congratulations first on being the change. That's not always easy. How did this share the load movement come about?
Nice to meet you too, Sarah. The Ariel Share the Load movement really started back in 2015. The conversation was triggered by the fact that over 95% of Indian households in India had only women doing the laundry. whereas we know that household chores should really be a joint responsibility. Back in 2015, we sparked a conversation with a simple film that raised a very simple question: is laundry only a woman's job? The film was very well received and in fact triggered a massive national debate on the subject, making for the first time, the thankless laundry chore the face of a movement against gender inequality in the division of household chores. In 2016, we followed this up with Dads Share the Load, which urged fathers to break the cycle of prejudice that was being passed on from one generation to the other in the form of conditioning. We know that children often learn from what they see, and if they grow up seeing inequality in their household and inequality in the division of household chores, it really ends up being perceived as normal and being passed down to the next generation.
Yeah.
So really over the last 7 years, we've been giving men more and more reasons to really share the load. In 2018, with Sons Share the Load, we asked if we were teaching our sons what we were teaching our daughters. We urge parents to be change makers and change the way we raise our sons to prepare them to be equal partners. In 2020, with Share the Load for Equal Sleep, we had a conversation around how household chores like laundry were coming in the way of women getting enough sleep and rest.
Wow.
The data showed that often women are first to get up and the last to sleep due to the physical and mental load of household chores. We've all seen our mothers do the same.
Yeah.
So really, over the years, we've had multiple conversations, we've made progress. In fact, in the context of the pandemic and the lockdown, we witnessed 82% of urban men participating in household chores. So not equally, but they were participating, right? But unfortunately, as we've come back to normalcy, unfortunately, 7 out of 10 women are saying that their partners have helped. They know how to do household chores, but have now stopped actively participating in household chores.
So they can do it, but now they've stopped again. Dr. Anjali Chhabria joins us. She's a mental health therapist, psychiatrist, director of the Mind Temple Institute of Behavioral Sciences. Doctor, this unequal distribution of work from morning to evening, how does that affect one's mental health?
So what happens to a woman is that constantly she is feeling as if she is on the beck and call of anybody and everybody who needs her. And she has no rights over her time, over her body, or over her mind. And I think that needs to change. Because if that keeps happening, it affects her self-esteem. She lands up with issues like anxiety, depression, other mental health and other physical health disorders. And if that keeps happening, she has metabolic changes as well.
Yeah.
Because of that, she could go in for diabetes, high blood pressure. It leads to obesity, and that can further impact both your physical and mental health.
So, and as Sharath points out, women are getting less time to rest compared to their partners, no time for self-care, certainly no time to prioritize one's own health and one's own fitness. Their hands are always full of some laundry or the other. So, but to conclude, Doctor, we could say that a happier home, an equal home where work is divided more equitably between men and women make for happier homes. That means better homes for our kids too. But are we seeing signs of that? Is change a brewing? Let's go across to Aisha Seth. She's a professional makeup artist. She joins us with her husband Gaurav, who's a content creator, and I'm told you're a couple that believes in equality and sharing the load with each other. So we're very happy to have you on the show. But Aisha, you're a makeup artist, right? So I'm guessing that entails a lot of travel and a lot of late nights. How do you manage?
Like I said, we share the load. So when I'm traveling, Gaurav makes sure that, he doesn't have to travel outside at all. So that is like a unwritten pact between the two of us. That of course, it happens that sometimes, we may have a couple of days overlapping where he has to travel as well. But we have a very good support system at home. And also, we believe that one parent must always be around the kids, even though we have a very, very good, caretaker at home. And it's never really come in the way of my work, to be very honest. So in fact, he was the one who, kind of pushed me into taking my first film. My second daughter was only 2 years old. And I was thinking, I had the contract in front of me and I was like, should I sign this? Because it just felt so wrong as a mother to leave like her two daughters behind, and the younger one is just 2 years old. But I remember he just came and he sat across the table and he said, you know what, you've said no to so many projects and it's time that you really take off. And I remember signing that contract and I was out of the house for 45 days. And after that, there's been no looking back. And I think he understood that, of course, as a new mother, you are the primary caregiver. So nobody else can take that role away from you, right? And 2 years passed, I had taken a big break. And without me having to tell him, he realized this and he was the final push.
Aisha, how wonderful to hear this, and you are blessed. And imagine, as you put it, you can take time for you to take off. How many more millions of women are just waiting for that opportunity so they can take off in their careers? Too. But I want to ask Gaurav. Gaurav,
Tara, I want to add something whenever you give me the time.
Sure. Let me just get Gaurav in. Gaurav, you saw this ad. And it raises the question, because it's not that men can't do this job. Clearly they can. I mean, you don't need to be a scientist, rocket scientist, to load the laundry or to clean the house or fold a cloth, iron a shirt, right? But clearly these men, if they can share the load equally when they're with other men, what comes in the way of sharing the load when they're with their wives, right? I mean, is it an issue that arises from years of unconscious bias? How did you break out of this mold?
So I would say in one word that conditioning plays a big role, upbringing plays a big role, observing your own family when you're growing up plays a big role. We live in a patriarchal society. We have for hundreds and thousands of years. That's not going to change in 20 years or 30 years or in one generation. It'll take some time. It'll take some education. Most importantly, messaging like this is slowly going to chip away at that fabric of thought, which, entitles men to feel that it's okay. They're earning a living. They're out 10 hours a day slogging. And it's the role of the wife to, bring up the kids, clean the house, cook the food, and overall take care of it. This is the division of labor, which has been around for hundreds of years. And this is how it should be from, time immemorial. But not understanding that, for me, for example, losing out on bringing up my girls or spending time with them is not a chore. I mean, me to clean up the house that I live in or cook the food that I eat and partake in as well is not a chore. It's part of the process. It's not something that needs to be instilled or saying, you should do it sometimes. And I saw this a lot during COVID, and I can't obviously comment for the country, but I saw a lot of men stepping up. I saw a lot of my friends stepping up, because there was no outside help allowed. There was so much which was changing so fast. I think people stepped up, and of course there will be cases which is not true, but I feel that stuff that Ariel is doing and stuff that you guys are doing in terms of messaging will play a role, but it will not happen overnight.
All right, you talk about messaging, so let's go back to Sharad. Sharad, TV is a shared experience in India. We all sit together. Do you believe that when the whole family is watching this will prick the conscience of, the men, the fathers in the group?
I think the Share the Load is really a movement. A movement is really about sparking and joining conversations that consumers are already having. I think this, whenever we look at evaluating the films that we put out, one of the things that we look at is, what conversation will this drive, right? If two people are sitting together, a couple is watching this film, and once they watch the film, what will this enable the conversation on inequality to come out, and will it enable the woman in the household to trigger the conversation around the inequality that exists? And we've seen that happening, right? We've seen millions and millions of men pledging to share the load over the years, right? The participation has gone up, as I said, but there's so much to be done, right? Men are contributing to household chores. They have during the lockdown. They know how to share the load. They've done it in the past. Women know that men know how to share the load. 80% of the women, as I said, have told us that men are fully capable of performing household chores. So it's really about a mindset and having conversations that help change our attitude from, or the men's attitude from, I need to help her.
All right.
Really, that household chores is our joint responsibility.
Yeah.
It will take for us to bring about change sooner than later.
Okay, so if it's about a mindset, I'm out of time, but Gayatri, quickly to you, because you have 2 sons. How does one break out of this vicious cycle? Last word to you quickly.
This is what I have realized, that, you know what, we can't change the husbands, but we can change our children, right? So what I have started doing is, with my younger one especially, he helps me with, with cooking, with little bit of laundry. So he says that I cannot fold, mom. So what he's done is he's had hangers. So he has like 50 hangers in his closet where he just hangs it. So it just helps me. I don't have to fold it anymore, and the dishes. So he's like, okay, mama, at least I can put the spoons away. So just helping out, doing our future with our only kids is what I can say. We can help out with the future generation, designing the future for the kids to make it a better world and make it an equal world for the coming generation.
You couldn't have said it better. I think we should condition children from an early age to understand that household chores have no gender, and to bring up our sons, to bring up our boys to be better, more supportive partners for all of our daughters. Thank you all for being part of this conversation today. It's a very important one. It needs to be talked about. Thank you for joining us on We the People.